this is probably the most important topic because of our 150 hotel, service department, airline, hospitals, everybody is focused on when the international tourist business person is going, or a patient is going to return. So I would submit to you, it is very important. We're going to look at what that foreign arrival process and guidelines could look like on July 1. Although if you caught the front page of the Bangkok Post today, it could be later than July 1, but that's the last information. We're going to talk a little bit about these travel bubbles you've been hearing about, green lanes, as Singapore uses that term. What are some of the stages and challenges that we'll anticipate? And then really some structural changes that are taking place in aviation and how it will serve the kingdom. Yeah, so just who are all, you see all these different ministries. Ultimately, the cabinet here in Thailand will make the final call. Hopefully that will be before June 30th and not on the eve of June 30th for anything that would be impacted on July 1. But you can see these various ministries from, of course, tourism and sports, and we're in communication with a lot of these, the chambers, the business community, the various stakeholders, partners. But really, it's the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, also known as the CCSA. They are really the ones who are gathering all this information and synthesizing it to hopefully bring some clarity. What does the foreign arrival process look like now, and what could it look like? Again, I want to emphasize nothing has been confirmed or clarified. This is from the latest interviews as of late last night and other just various sources. On the left, you can see if you want to come as a business person today, you can do that. You need to have a work permit and you need to have evidence of $100,000 worth of health insurance that includes COVID, and then you can see the other line items. At the very bottom, you'll see that rather challenging 14-day quarantine and in a government-approved facility at your expense. Where we hope to be, or where we could be on July 1, is that the stage 1 will focus on business people and patients coming for medical treatment. You'll note down on item 4, one of the things that could be a challenge, or it's just not fully defined, is the actual COVID test screening when you leave a country and when you come into Thailand. So that's 2 tests. The clarity on when you leave the country, I don't know if that's whether you're leaving your actual, say, the United States and transiting through Hong Kong or through Tokyo. That is not clear yet, but it is another layer of testing and expense. But the real important one there at the bottom is the absence of a 14-day quarantine. This should be approved. The other thing that we've read that's floating around out there is that possibly or probably here before your pre-arrival, you will make some type of an application for the what's called the digital health passport application. This is still being defined, but it will enable you to communicate with the Royal Thai government. Of course, there's some, they'll track what tests you've had, maybe even trace where you are. It is designed to have safety as we take these baby steps early on in the day. So what are travel bubbles, or these green lanes? They've even taken on the mantle of tourism bubbles. But let me emphasize that tourism is not yet coming. It's really emphasis is on business. Business and patients, people seeking healthcare, which is particularly attractive because usually, according to our hospital members, usually a patient will travel with 2.8 people and they'll stay an average length of about 11 to 12 days. So that's quite desirable and good. But look at this list in front of you. Only 1,000 foreign visitors per day initially. That's for the whole country. That's 2.5, not even, it's probably, 2.5 777s or 747s. So quite challenging. The other thing that we'll be looking at in these bubbles is indeed the, what's called the SHA. This is the Safety Health Administration. It's under the TAT, but wherever you go in your sub-bubble, whatever the destinations are, we'll talk about those in a minute. This is the sort of the seal, and that there's a process that deals with social distancing, the things we're all doing, mask, shields, hand washing, and just watching the densities. Hopefully, as you can see, stage 2 is something that could be visited perhaps later this quarter. Moving on, the list of actual countries that are most noted as being safe, even with the news from China, but we have Malaysia, Vietnam, Taiwan, South Korea, and of course China, but there are going to be sub bubbles or sub cities within those. Also, you can see on the right, these are the other countries that are identified as ones that would be the corridors. These are our primary markets. Remember, these are bilateral cooperative agreements. These concepts have been coming about in Asia Pacific for at least 60 days. Everyone has to cooperate. On domestic airlift, connectivity is important upon an international arrival. About 22 of the existing airports in Thailand are open. That's almost 60%. Of those, the capacity is only running at 50% of normal flights, and of that, utilization on those discrete aircraft is really less than 30%, 25 to 30%, please. And you can see the major carriers are the low-cost carriers. Smile. A couple that we need to keep our eye on in the industry is what's going to happen with Thai Airways. It has gone, or it's in the process of going through a restructuring. Its assets barely exceed its liabilities, and it does carry nearly 40% of the country's traffic. AirAsia last month announced their intention to look at mergers. This is trigger for some consolidation. Okay, so really when we step back and we think about aviation and how it serves Thailand, because we need to have these international arrivals as soon as possible and as safely as possible, but there are really, I guess, four quadrants here. You've got, of course, the private jet service, and you can see some of the names there that I think that is protected. That business is thriving. Has done well, and it will continue to do well. It's really the legacy carriers there, where some of them have actually gone on for a number of years with lean operations, but now they're recapitalizing. And the low-cost carriers, I think, will see some consolidation. And the charters, who knows? I think there's still monies owed from a number of the charters out of Europe here to the country of Thailand. So